a perfect example of the level of cultural indoctrination, brainwashing, lack of critical thinking skills, and concepts that relate to reality concerning this issue. We are completely brainwashed. I mean, absolutely brainwashed. Our entire culture. They have an absolute inability to critically question this issue. It's really so horrible that we do this to children. It's absolutely horrific that we are attacking our children, our own young, our own offspring, the most helpless of our society, with knives, so that weirdos, doctors can, make profit. So they can make profit. I mean, for what benefit is this for the doctor? The only benefit is money. This does nothing for their feel good success problem. I'm helping the world type of thing, because it's the actual opposite. You're harming the world. I mean, they're harming the world. So anyways, we're going to see this. This is put up by Brother K of the Bloodstained Men. And this is the Minority Report. And you'll just see, it's just so sad with Sam Cedar. Okay. Well, anyways, this is the level of brainwashing that we have in America. And, we're going to discuss this as we go through this video. So here we go.
Do you know about circumcision?
I've heard of it, yes.
Genital mutilation, right?
I guess in the tech.
I guess. Lady, if someone were to do the same exact thing to you, okay, now first off, the clitoral hood is a very, very small, tiny structure compared to the male, because the male's grows into a very, very large and very significant portion of his genital tissue, where the female's, the clitoral hood, is a very small portion that covers the glands of the female clitoris. So, it's huge. It's a big part of it. Now, one of the things that we call FGM is FGM type 1B, and that is just basically removal of the clitoral hood. And we call that female genital mutilation, and that's female genital mutilation type 1B. There's type 1A, which is the removal of the external glands. There's type 2, which includes both A and B. A is removal of the labia minora, and B is removal of the labia majora. Then you have FGM type 3, which is infibulation, which is where they sew the parts together. They'll cut whatever they'll cut, they'll sew it together. Infibulation, FGM type 3B is all the above, or 3C is all the above. And it's absolutely a horrible mutilation. But there are different types of male genital mutilation. The one that we practice, FGM, or male genital mutilation type 2, is about probably somewhere close to between FGM type 2 and FGM type 3, if you're going to try to use those numbers as a level of harm, which they are not, because they are not the FGM. The confusing part of the FGM rates is that they're not related to how harmful they are. They're related to the structures and the actual, in my opinion, FGM type 1B is more harmful than FGM type 2A or B. But it often can be included. The point being is that these are various levels of harm. FGM type 1B is far less influential because it removes a far less functional structure that has a far smaller influence on pleasure, sensation. It's far less painful, even though, of course, it is painful to cut into children's genitals. The point being is that she has no idea what she's talking about. She has no clue. Do you think she knows the different types of FGM? Do you think she knows anything about the anatomy, structure, and function of the male genitals does she know that half the surface area contains 75% of the nerves, including the two most sensitive parts, the frenulum and the ridge band, which are full of Meissner corpuscles, the most sensitive nerves in the human body? Does she know that? No, she has no clue. None. So, the only thing this woman has ever heard about this in her entire life is little, stories she's heard on the playground. There's never been a teacher in any class Maybe she's heard some, kind of offhand remark by another uneducated person, teacher or not. But she's never actually had any factual information. She's never done any research. She's never critically questioned this issue at all. And she has no knowledge whatsoever of what she's talking about.
Sense. Does circumcision make sexual intercourse painful for men after that happens?
I think that's not the only issue.
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does. There are numerous men that have, excluding what we consider botched more than normal, because every circumcision is botched. It's botched to mutilate a child. Your brain is botched if you do this to a child. The botch happens in the adult's brain, not in the child's genitals. But yeah, botched is even worse. And some of these, we've had kids that have had their whole glands amputated, literally had their whole genitals cut off. And do you think that's painful? Do you think that's... Now, I have a scar, and that scar line gives me pain all the time. Okay, I can be in the shower, and when I get out of the shower, and if the towel somehow lightly brushes against my exposed glands because it's not covered by the protective mechanism, I'm in pain. I'm in shooting pain up into my abdomen. It's been like that all my life. A light brush, because the glands is a mucosal surface. It's supposed to be protected. It's supposed to be covered, like the inside of your mouth. It's not supposed to be externalized. So do I feel pain? Yes, I feel pain all the time in my scar line. So how are you gonna tell me what I feel from my genital mutilation? Like, how dare you trivialize my experiences and all the experiences of all these other men and boys who have suffered greatly from having our genitals ripped apart by weird psychopaths with knives.
What is the issue?
In the moment when...
What's the issue?
You know that for female circumcision, which does happen in the world, so there's really no analogy between male and female circumcision.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The genital cutting of a child relates to the genital cutting of a child. You're cutting children's genitals. The fact that the child is male or female has no bearing on the suffering of the child. How is our genitals less painful than yours? What are you talking about? You ever seen a man get kicked in the groin? Like, lady, you don't know that we're sensitive down there? Wow. So yeah, they do absolutely compare. In fact, the majority of MGM is worse than the majority of FGM. What I mean by that is, as I mentioned before, there's different types of FGM. The large majority of FGM in the world is type FGM 1B, which is removal of the clitoral hood, or the ritual nick, which is considered FGM type 4, which is kind of like a catch-all category, type 4. But my point is, the actual majority, now there's been 200 million genital mutilations apparently of female. There's 200 million women in the world today living with mutilated genitals. There's 30% of the entire world's population of men is genital mutilated. 30%. I don't even know what that number is, but it's astronomically higher than 200 million women. Now, out of those 200 million women, the large majority of them have gotten FGM type 2, type 1B, which is the least damaging form of FGM. Which means that the majority of as a percentage of the total, right? The percentage of the total, now, much higher percentage of men have had this done to them than women, much higher. And the large majority of the genital mutilation of men is actually more harmful than the large majority of the mutilation of females. So yes, there are more men with more pain than women. Absolutely, by far. By far, it's a far bigger issue to mutilate the genitals of males, let alone the psychological damage that's happening to the males. We don't even question the psychological damage happening to females. This happens at the critical period of child's brain development. This is the most important period of a child's life for their brain development. This will affect who they become as a person, their personality, their behaviors, their response to stress. And we're altering the brain development of the male of the species? of the male of the species. You're going to go take down the silverback and you're going to harm him and you're going to create PTSD in the silverback? And then you're going to wonder why we have so much other additional traumas in our world? I mean, just the fact that you're hurting the bigger of the species, the one that has the potential to do more harm. That in itself shows you, that in itself proves that this is worse to do it to males. I mean, it's horrible to do to anybody. It's horrible to do and no child should ever suffer this. Male, female, intersex, trans, I don't care. No child should ever have their genitals cut. No child on this planet should have their genitals cut. Should be tortured and mutilated by adults with weird brains, with toad brains, squirmy toad brains. Like, what is wrong with these people? It is. I mean, the level of cultural brainwashing. You know, they used to say that you could make a person believe white is black, up is down, and and I was like, come on. I mean, the parable of the story of the emperor with no clothes. I mean, I was like, how stupid is that? Like, come on, nobody's gonna look at a naked emperor on the stage and believe he's wearing clothes and deny their own eyes. But yet we do. We have an entire society that is so wrapped up in this delusion, this psychopathic delusion, that if they were to ever to come to, I mean, could you imagine how much it would take for this lady to come to terms with the reality of the lies that she's living right now and the delusions that she's spewing? This is perpetuation of the cultural norm. These are how cultural norms are passed down and perpetuated. This is a person in the media. She has an audience, and they're listening to this.
I don't think it's a problem.
You don't think circumcision, male genital mutilation is a problem, but female genital mutilation is a problem, correct?
Well, because one of the genital mutilations causes a lot of pain, and the other one makes it like a tiny bit less pleasurable to.
One causes a lot of pain, and the other doesn't cause pain. It just causes a reduction in sensation, a small reduction in sensation. Obviously, she knows nothing about the anatomy. Half the surface area, the foreskin, the average foreskin is 15 square inches, 18.4 square inches by some studies. The average foreskin, 18.4 square inches. It's half the surface area. It's not the tip, okay? It's not the tip. If it was the tip, the scar would be on the tip. There's not one man's scar, it's on the tip. It's halfway down the shaft. There's a ring around the center of our shaft. It's halfway down. What that means is we're cutting off the middle half, cutting out the middle half, connecting the two quarters, the top quarter and the bottom quarter. We're cutting out the middle half. That half everts, becoming the main interfacing tissue which both gives and receives pleasure. 75% of the nerves, including the two most sensitive parts of the Meissner corpuscle, where the Meissner corpuscles are found in the frenulum and the ridge band. The Meissner corpuscle is the most sensitive nerves in the body. We're cutting through the most sensitive, pleasurable tissue of our child's genitals, and she says they don't even feel it? They don't even feel it? How disconnected can you be from reality? It's almost like she has no ability to rationalize her own statements. Like, she is so delusional, so wrapped up in the fantasy, so unable to critically think about this, that she's literally denying the fact that males' genitals are sensitive. Who doesn't know that? Who is in denial of male genitalia being sensitive? But yet, no, we can cut through it and it's not painful. I mean, this is crazy. One of the excuses they use to mutilate babies is the man, he's going to grow up and he's going to be a man. He's going to have it done as a man. He's going to suffer this great pain as a man. It's so much better to have it done as a baby when you won't remember it. Do you know the ludicrousness of this statement and how it just relates to how ludicrous what we just said is about how this lady said how it doesn't affect the man's, he doesn't feel the pain. And then in another instance, you're saying, oh, we have to do it to babies because the grown man will be suffering so much pain. And in fact, the grown men that have gone through this will tell you it's one of the most excruciating, painful things they've ever experienced. And 90% of those, probably 99% of those men got general anesthesia, meaning they slept through the whole procedure. Whereas the babies suffer the procedure, most of them without anesthesia whatsoever. I had a surgery on my body with no painkiller, no surgery. It was on the most pleasurable, sensitive part of my body. It damaged the pleasure-giving part of my body. I barely feel it. I have a numb block of almost like a dowel rod. I'm missing the most sensitive part. I'm at least strong enough in my security, in my self-confidence, that I can admit the truth. I'm not a coward. I'm not a loser in denial, so insecure with my own reality that I can't accept anatomical facts. Anatomical facts.
Have sex, and it doesn't really have an effect on their lives.
It doesn't have an effect on your life. Early life trauma alters brain development. We have the huge amount of mental dysfunction in the United States of America. Huge amount of mental dysfunction. We have the largest prison population. We have broken families, single parents. We have, court systems to, taking care of our children. We have CPS taking children from good families. We have this whole system built up. We have the highest prison population. Did I say that? The highest prison population. We have rape. We have child abuse. We have pedophilia. We have all sorts of horrible, horrible problems. And you're going to tell me this has no influence on society? We have the largest number of serial killers anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, ever in human history. We have the, violence everywhere. We have gangs. We have drugs. We have one of the most, as far as a supposed advanced society, we're the most backwards, most, criminal, most, crime-ridden society that's supposed to be this great society, right? I mean, you can go walk out your house and spit on 5 homeless people. And I'm not even making... I probably said it the wrong way, but you know what I'm saying. You can look outside and there's this society is in decay. We are in decay. We are in downfall. And this is one of the largest potential reasons for that. Potential reasons for that. You are cutting off the most pleasurable nerves of the body of the man, creating men that will never have the fulfillment that they would naturally have in their body. Never have reach the level of ecstasy and fulfillment that every other man in the world has experienced, that every one of our ancestors throughout our entire history experienced before there were showers, before there was soap, before there was a Walgreens where you can get some Dove, and some shampoo, or you can go to your doctor, or you could take your shower, or you could use your bidet. They didn't have that. But you know what they had? A prepuce. You know what they had? Amazing pleasure. You know what they had? Very happy women. Very happy women. We live in a trauma-based society. Our entire society is a reaction. We live in a reaction. This is a reaction to the trauma and the denial because we can't wrap our minds around it. This is the trauma. This lady speaking like this is the delusion. We are hurting our children. And this woman, this is a woman, right? This is, when this woman has a baby, if she was to have a child, and her natural instincts should be, or supposed to be, pure love for that child. She should put that child, and every one of us, every human being on this planet, every adult, every human being, whether you're connected to that child's life or not, you put children before yourselves. You put children before everything in your life. You put your children before your career. You put your children before your spouse. You put your children before your mother, your father. You put your children in front of God. I don't care. And I know that, the problem with the religions out there, that's where the brainwashing comes from. You get these other people telling you to put God before your children. God is your child. God created your child. God allowed you to create your child. The world is perpetuated through your child. Creation is happening through you. Your child is the most precious thing that has ever happened in your life, that you could ever experience in your life. And your entire purpose is to protect your child. Lady, that's your natural instinct, is supposed to protect your child. But you know what? The need to fit in, the power of the group, the power of ostracism, because those brave souls in our past who had the balls and the strength to stick up to the group, they were ostracized, they were attacked, they were killed. The ones that survived were the ones that able to follow the herd. They followed the herd. And those few of us that have the brain power and the strength and the wisdom and the intelligence to see outside of that herd are far and few between. And this is an example of how far out our society is from reality.
You're circumcised?
No, I am from India. I'm not.
I am.
Okay, so real quick, 98% of FGM victims support their mutilation. Female genital mutilation is perpetuated by the females in their society and the males in their society. There's no FGM cultures in the world that cut females exclusively that don't also cut boys. They cut the girls and the boys for the same reason that they cut the girls, they cut the boys. There's no excuses to cut the girls that differ from the reasons why they cut the boys. They don't cut the girls to hurt the girls, and they cut the boys to help them with, reduce UTIs or some ridiculous, trivial nonsense medical excuse. That's ridiculous, guys. Let's get a grip on reality, our own reality, our cultural reality, our red pill. Because the real red pill is the one that you have to accept in your own ego. That's the ego swallow pill. This lady is swallowing the brew pill, right? I mean, it's just...
I don't remember the pain because I don't remember the pain because I was an infant and I'm 27 years old.
Okay, so this is classical denial. I mean, this is like you could do a thesis. A PhD in psychology could literally do a thesis on this entire conversation here. Because this man right here, 27 man, I don't remember the pain. Of course, you were a baby. You don't remember it. But when it happened to you, believe me, you wanted justice. You wanted justice. If you would have known who you would have turned out to be, you would have not liked yourself as a baby. You're poor baby. You deserve better. You deserve to treat yourself better. I mean, it's unbelievable. But this is a cycle of trauma, right? Oh, I'm not damaged. Nothing's wrong with my genitals. I'm a stud, man. My wife, she has the greatest orgasms. She's so happy. She's over there faking it. Yeah. Anyways, you're all full of yourself. You have to be able to accept reality, but this is so hard for the broken, mutilated man to accept reality. So this man's from India, the caller's from India. The rest of the world doesn't do this. 70% of the world's men are intact, right? The rest of the world, can see this for reality. This man knows what his whole penis feels like. He knows what we are missing. He can extrapolate that from his mind. He knows how harmful and damaging it would be to have that part of him ripped off of him. Right? He knows. I know because I study neurology and I study histology, and I'm a smart, intelligent person, and I can understand anatomy, structure, and function, and I can extrapolate from the knowledge of, hey, there's an abundance of Meissner corpuscles in this area, and you feel the Meissner corpuscles in your lips and your fingertips, then you can extrapolate what I'm missing. I can, meditate on it and kind of come to terms with it. But most, people have to have the experience in order to have that. So this man has the experience. He knows what we're missing. He knows it's genital mutilation. The rest of the world does know this. In fact, most of the rest of the world is shocked to find out that the United States of America mutilates the genitals of its children for medical. We are the only culture in the world that does this for medical reasons, right? All the other cultures do this for religion, or some, like the Bondo tribes in Sierra Leone and in the Middle Africa area. They do it for tribal, coming of age ceremonies. There's a few places like that in the world, some tribes, random rare tribes that do it. And those are just rare, areas of the world that do it. But most of the world that does this, they do it for religion. Okay, they do it for either Judaism or Islamic religion. And the funny thing about Islamic religion is it's absolutely against for the Islamic religion, because in the Quran it says Allah created us perfectly, like no less than 11 times. It says not to change Allah's creation twice. It says not to mutilate cattle's ears. It said that those who are that Satan would try to convince us to alter Allah's creation and never to change Allah's creation. It also says nothing left out of this book. It also says that, and it also lacks any statement at all whatsoever of circumcision. Muhammad himself was not circumcised. The claims later in the disc was that he was born without the foreskin because he was perfect. Well, guess what? God made us perfect. Allah made us perfect. So if that's the case, and it says it 11 times, and you're changing Allah's creation, you're not really Islamic if you're mutilating the genitals of your children, because you're violating the Quran. The Quran is clear, unambiguous. Okay, I know I'm going on a rant about that. But so really the only culture in the world that should be mutilating the genitals of its children for a religion is Judaism. And as a Jewish man myself, and I know many Jewish men, there's a lot of us that are, you know what, we have human rights too. We have the rights to our own body too. So you got to stop doing this to us. I don't care what religion you are. You know, if some Muslim can do this to a girl because he believes his the hadiths that says he should, and you know that's not in the Quran, it's in one of the hadiths. If he believes that, and we tell him he shouldn't cut his daughter, well, we also should be able to tell somebody that they shouldn't cut their son. I mean, the human rights are human rights, not women rights or men rights, right? They're human rights. So anyways,
I've never had an issue with my penis.
Yes, you have. You don't know it because you've never had a whole penis. If you were to spend one day with the whole penis, you would spend the rest of your life crying yourself to sleep every night, because all you could do in your mind was wish you had that experience back. And I've talked to men that have had this done as adults, that had full function as adults, and some men have killed themselves. They've done this as adults and they've killed themselves. And I've had numerous men say 70, 80%. And the science tells you 70 to 80% of sensation is gone. So if you think you're feeling good, buddy, you have no idea what you would feel like if you had the best part, right? You have no clue. And if you did, you would immediately change your mind, right? But it's so much easier to live in denial. Say, oh no, man, I'm the stud that I think I am. I've got the, you know, I have such and such size. I have bagged so many girls. I have a high, you know, body count or whatever they call it these days. You know, I'm such a stud. I'm so cool. I'm so tough too. I can beat everybody up, and I'm so cool. Yeah, and I'm not compensating at all, and I'm not just trying to cover my own insecurities with my denial. That hurts the most precious, the little ones of our society. The denial, the cowardly denial that hurts the most precious of our society. This is the most cowardly denial a man could have. Now, if you don't understand, you don't know. All you've known is the myths, the lies. I get it on some level. But then when you're approached and questioned about it, then that's when the seed needs to be planted. And a good person, intelligent person, a person of wisdom, a person of morals will let that seed flourish and grow that seed in their own mind, and it will come to grow and flourish. And eventually they will discover the truth. And they will become an intactivist. Because if you're a human and you're not an intactivist, you're not really a human. Because no human should be against human. Because this is against humanity. Taking a part of humanity and cutting it off of a baby before they can even protect themselves and defend themselves is anti-humanity. But the need to fit in is so powerful, so strong, that it overcomes a mother's protective instinct. It overcomes a man's rationality about his own genital tissue. It overcomes a reporter's ability to critical think and question when approached by a man who does know.
So because of circumcision of babies with penises, which they don't really remember, and then in some ways has hygiene benefits, but if you want...
Hygiene benefits. Hi. Wow. Hygiene benefits. The prepuce is one of the easiest parts of your body to clean. It's hard to clean your feet, your hair, your toes, your ears, your teeth, your butthole, your armpits, your back. All of those are harder to clean. Lady, first off, when we're talking about hygiene problems, okay, and I don't body shame women. I think women are beautiful. I love the body that women have. I would never want less of a body for women. Okay, what I'm trying to say is I would never literally body shame a woman. I think women are built beautiful. I think human body is amazing. It's amazing the way it functions. It's beautiful, and in every part of it. There's no part of it that's dirty. I mean, unless you're sniffing buttholes or something. Anyways, but if you're going to be a body shamer, okay, now let me explain. The hygiene thing is based off of body shaming, okay? The hadith in Islam supposedly, even though God made us perfectly, apparently this part is ewy. It's dirty. It's the dirty part. You got to cut off the dirty part. It's the ewy dirty part. I mean, literally, what this is basically potty stage level maturity. Like, ooh, poo-poo and pee-pee. That's the mentality. And so what this lady and now, this is not just this lady, literally, that makes this claim. This is the same claim Mayo Clinic makes on their website. The Mayo Clinic, the supposed scientific, a white ivory tower on the hill, the supposed, the best doctors in the world, right? They claim that it's good for hygiene. I mean, this is so absolutely ludicrous. First off, 5,488 mammal species all have a prepuce, every damn one of them. Okay, so this has been in part of mammal species for about between 160 and 220 million years of evolution. It's a long time. Million years, 220 million years, okay? Of animals living in dirt and grime and jungles and grasslands and woodlands. They didn't have showers. They didn't have doctors. And they had the prepuce. Okay, so the idea that this is, a dangerous, dirty, ooey tissue is just absolutely fundamentally basic. It's embarrassing to actually make these claims. To have medical establishment saying these things and a grown human woman making these claims is just so utterly irrational and ridiculous. It's immature. It's childlike. It's stupid. It's low intelligence. I mean, I'm sure in many other areas of this woman's life, she could make, some coherent, legitimate statement. I mean, she is on the Minority Report, right? She is a reporter. She's got a degree, apparently. So I'm sure in other areas of life, she could actually make some rational, coherent statements that, actually make sense. But when it comes to this, there's she's so far outside of reality and just decency, human decency, that it's mind-boggling to anybody with any type of education. This, again, is the strength of the group, the herd mentality.
But if you want to make it outlaw, if you don't agree with it, that's okay. If you want to ban circumcision, I don't really care, because I don't really think it's an issue that has any effect on society.
If you care about protecting women, protecting children, school shootings, theaters being shot up, high divorce rates, additional traumas, because as I mentioned in the previous video, this is a positive feedback loop. Trauma begets trauma. That's why they call them cycles. There are cycles of trauma. And these cycles are perpetuated by these types of delusions that this lady is perpetuating.
Let's do that. Come up with another example.
I don't know what the example is.
That's all I can think of, and I mean, I don't.
Got it. All right. Have a nice day. Bye.
So about.
Have a nice day. Bye. I mean, this guy had an actual really important point. And as a man who's from a culture that doesn't have this as part of the cultural download, the brain download, he gets it. And this woman who has no clue what she's talking about is the one who shuts him down. So typical. But this just goes to show you how ingrained cultural norms can be in a society, even in a society that supposedly props itself up as this advanced society with, loving parents and good people, and we have freedom and we're brave. I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. We are an authoritarian society where you don't even own your own body, right? We used to own slaves with the Constitution that says all men are created equal. We own slaves, and then we claim we have freedom, and then we claim we're brave, but we can't handle anatomical facts. We can't even protect our own children from our own delusions. That's not brave. That is pure, utter cowardice. And unfortunately, the human species is a cowardly species. We are not a brave species. Because if we were brave, we would fight back against this evil with every ounce of our bodies.